Okay folks, a really important lesson coming up today. It's going to be quite a short one, but one of the most important ones I think you will ever listen to. I want to talk about risk on and risk off. It's something that I talk about in each of my daily live streams. So I think it's really important you understand what it's all about. So risk on, risk off. It basically refers to the current market sentiment. It really is important because it does have ramifications over pretty much all of the asset classes. And the Forex market is no exception. Think of this for a moment. The financial markets is basically one big pool of money and investments made up of different asset classes. You may have stocks, bonds, commodities, ETFs, options, may even have the odd cryptocurrency in there as well. Now all the hedge funds, the mutual funds, the pension pots, the investment bankers, they're all trying to do what? Well, they're trying to make money. They're trying to get a better return for their customers. But when they're looking to do this, when they're looking to improve the return for their customers, they always have to consider the risks associated with those returns. Think about this for a moment. Imagine you're down to your last, say, $1,000 in the world. Do you invest it? What do you want to do with it? Do you just go and spend it? Let's imagine you want to go to the casino. You go to the casino, not saying that's a really good form of investment, but say you go to the casino and you put your $1,000 on the first roulette wheel, red 32, and it comes in. Yippee, yippee. Red 32 comes in, you make $36,000 profit. You can then go and sit on the beach, drink your cocktails for a couple of years with no worries in the world. But the chances are it won't come in on the first spin. The risks associated with that trade may not be considered worth it. Now those financial players out there that are looking to increase their returns for their investors, they're always looking at these different risk profiles, different asset classes, and all the time considering the risk. If, for example, they are very confident about a particular country's economy going forward, now they may consider to take on more risk in that country. And more often than not, they'll be doing that by buying stocks, basically shares in these companies that basically reside in those countries. Now, of course, if they get their assessment right, their projection right, these stocks are going to go up in value and they've made a good return for their customers. Now, stocks are considered higher risk assets. Now, if on the other hand, they're feeling a little bit concerned about the economy, a bit uncertain about the outlook, what can they do? Well, they can sell all their high risk exposure in the stock market and put their money under their pillow, waiting for the risk profile to increase again. It's unlikely that they're going to be putting their money under the pillow, but they may be putting their money into lower risk assets, such as maybe the bond market. Bonds basically are loans to governments and corporations. Okay, so you loan the government your money, they promise to pay you back in a certain period of time, but it will also give you interest payments along the way, known as coupons. All works out and you get a yield out of that, but that's all for another lesson. Now, bonds, be it government bonds, sovereign bonds, and corporation bonds, tend to be less riskier assets. And of course, it all depends on the country as well, and the corporation that you may be looking in. But these different bonds will offer different rates of return on investment or yield, depending on, of course, their risk profile. So we're always looking at the different risk profiles of different countries in order to evaluate their bond markets and so forth. Now also think about gold. Gold is another one, isn't it? Gold, a safe haven investment. Times of uncertainty, traders have often flocked to the gold market in the hope that it will at least retain its value and hopefully maybe increase in value over the time. Over the last couple of years or so, the gold markets hasn't really been acting as a total safe haven currency. You saw that certainly when the pandemic hit this time last year, the stock markets are crashing and the gold markets were crashing as well. A lot of stories were saying that a lot of people were liquidating their gold positions to pay for the margin calls on their stocks. But normally speaking, the gold market is considered a safe haven asset. Now let's look at the risk on, risk off profile in the currency markets. I just want to take you over to the screens now and show you something that's well worth looking at. Okay, so this chart basically shows us the 10-year government bond yields for the main 8 currencies that we trade when we're trading the Forex market. Now, I know, of course, you can trade multiple different currencies, but when we're trading Forex, we generally focus on these main 8. Now, if you look down the right here, it will show you the corresponding line to which 10-year government bond it refers to. Top of the tree, you've got the AU. So this is the Australian 10-year government bond returning 1.76%. Closely on the tails there is New Zealand government bond showing 1.715. Then you've got the US dollar, 1.682. Now, I took this screenshot just before I came on camera. These are fluctuating second by second. Of course, they're changing throughout the trading week. So this is just a quick screen grab. Then we've got the Canadian dollar trading 1.51. Here you have the UK government bond known as the gilt. That's trading at 0.78. Now, quite lower down here, you'll see the Japanese 10-year yield trading just above the 0 line. So you're getting just a minute return by holding a 10-year Japanese government bond, 0.08. And below the line, that's where you have the Swiss and the European. So the Swiss franc, or the Swiss government bond at the moment, gives you a negative yield, negative 0.21. And then the DE, that's actually the Bund, the German 10-year government bond, which is pretty reflective of the European government bond, is negative 0.33. So this is very interesting. These are the negative yielding currencies pretty much. Japanese bond just edging up there at the moment. Now, when we trade in the currency markets, we're looking at the beta currencies. Now, the beta currencies generally are the higher risk currencies. They're the higher volatility currencies. Higher volatility generally means higher risk. These are the high yielding currencies, and you see them up here. The beta currencies are the Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, and so forth, often referred to as the commodity currencies as well, and the US 10-year up there at 1.6. Now, one way to trade the currency markets is to look at this yield curve and look for the yield curve differentials and try to benefit from that. So what the investors, what the big players will be doing with vast sums of money is if they're confident about a particular economy, they want to start taking on more risk by investing in that particular economy. They think it's going to do well in the future, so they want to lock in some good interest rates. What they do, they'll basically borrow low yielding currencies. So they'll borrow the Swiss, they'll borrow the yen, possibly even borrow the euro, and then they'll sell that currency in the currency markets, in the Forex markets. They'll sell those currencies and they'll buy the higher yielding currencies. So they'll buy, for example, the Australian dollar. So they're basically now selling the Japanese yen, for example, and buying the Australian dollar. They're buying the Australian dollar so they can lock in a better return on their investment. So they're basically getting, in this example, 1.76, and it doesn't cost them very much money to fund that because they've borrowed a cheap currency. This is known as the carry trade. So often you'll see in times of risk on, the high yielding currencies outperform the low yielding currencies due to the carry trade. And of course, the opposite happens when we go into risk off. There's a reversal of this carry trade. So now investors are becoming maybe more defensive. So they now sell their Australian government bonds. That basically means they're holding now Australian dollars. But they've got to pay back the Japanese yen from the to the lender who lent them the money in the first place. So they're to pay back the lender, they've got to buy the Japanese yen. So they now exchange the Australian dollars for Japanese yen. So they're buying the yen goes up, and they're selling the Australian dollar goes down. So you can see the reverse happens when this carry trade is reversed, as the markets went from risk on to risk off. Hope that makes sense. So in times of risk on, the high yielding currencies, the commodity currencies, these will tend to outperform the low yielding currencies. Now think about this. Clearly, if the economies around the world are growing, if GDPs around the world are increasing, they will basically be investing. They'll be investing more in industry, in plant, and so forth. And if they're doing that, they basically need iron, copper, steel, these raw materials. You look at Australia, it accounts for about 35% of all their Australian exports are these ore products. So often you'll see in times of risk on, the Australian dollar being a sought after currency and will tend to increase in value. Oil. Now, that is a bellwether for a healthy global economy. If economies around the world are growing, GDPs are getting bigger around the world, factories now are being built, well, that basically means more people are spending money, more people are traveling, everyone is buoyant about the economy. That tends to have an upward pressure on the oil price. And if oil prices are rising, then that means that the loonie or the Canadian dollar, that's likely to benefit as well, as it is a main oil producer. So in times of growth, in times of risk on, the commodity currencies that you see out there, they will tend to outperform. Okay, so now let's also consider this. If the stock markets are making new highs, everyone's piling in to the stock market, there's money to be had as new highs are being met each and every week. We are in risk on. If an investment house, an investment banker, if a hedge fund manager, he wants to capitalize on this explosive growth in the stock market, he needs to buy the stocks. He needs to get involved in that. And the best way to do that is to borrow. Borrow a cheap currency. So something like the Japanese yen or the Swiss franc, which you see there on the screen, has a very low borrowing cost. It's cheap to borrow. So you borrow the Japanese yen, you borrow the Swiss franc, perhaps even borrow the euro, and you sell that currency on the foreign exchange markets to buy the currency of the stock market that you want to invest in. So you might want to invest in the Australian stock market or the US stock market. Well, you buy the low yielding currencies, you sell that on the financial markets, and you buy the currencies of where you want to invest. Consequently, that will have an effect. It will push the yen, the Swiss lower, and I'll see the Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar, New Zealand dollar, US dollar potentially push higher as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is jump on to the interactive board there and summarize, give you a summary of exactly what the implications are of risk on and risk off on the individual currencies and asset classes. Come on. Hi there folks, so I hope that makes sense to you. What I've done here basically is summarised what we have been talking about so that you're left in no doubt when you're trying to make sense of it all. So here we've got risk on. Risk on is optimism in the stock markets. Stock markets are going higher. Now these currencies are the ones that should perform better. These are the ones that should go higher. Bullish basically means going better, higher. You've got the US dollar, you've got the commodity currencies, the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, and the Canadian dollar. I've mentioned the reasons why. And the bearish currencies, the currencies that should go down in value when the markets are in risk on, are all likely to be those low yielding currencies, low or negative rate currencies, the Swiss, the Japanese yen, sometimes the euro. I've also put gold in there as well. Gold is often referred to as the safe haven currency. As stocks go up, gold used to go down, and as gold and the stocks go down, gold goes up. The correlation there has waned a little bit over the recent times, but that's generally the theme of it. So risk off, that's when there's pessimism in the stock market. Stock markets are going lower. These currencies are going to be bullish. The Swiss franc, the Japanese yen, potentially the euro, and gold should go higher, as I've just mentioned. These are just basically the low yielding safe haven currencies. This tends to be a flock to those in times of risk off. And the bearish currencies, when the markets are in risk off, US dollar and the commodity currencies, they come down as well, Aussie, New Zealand and CAD. These are not set in stone. Sometimes it doesn't always work like this, but this is just generally the rule of thumb. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. Now you can download the free cheat sheet, basically summarising what we've spoken about here. You can print it off, get it laminated, stick it in your library of content that we're dishing out here on the YouTube channel. Now you can also take a 7-day free trial. We are streaming live 5 days a week, 7 times a day, discussing market opportunities and so forth. 7-day free trial, register below. Don't forget to follow us on all the socials as usual. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel here at YouTube. And by hitting that bell notification, you'll be notified the moment the next video has been released, which is now every Monday and Friday. I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a good one.